Hi everyone, please subscribe my YouTube channel. The roast chicken sat cooling on the table, but no one seemed to care. My mother, with her practiced warmth, filled mismatched glasses with wine, while my father carved the meat as if performing for a crowd. My sister Haley laughed too loudly at some quip from our uncle. No one glanced my way. That had become routine. Then it came. "We've been thinking," my dad said, chewing thoughtfully, "Haley could crash at your place for a bit, just until she gets her life sorted." The table erupted in chuckles. My cousin even clapped as if it were a brilliant idea. My mom chimed in. "She's already been there a few days, hasn't she? Might as well make it permanent." She winked, thinking herself witty. I stared at the empty chair meant for me, still pristine. I hadn't been late. I'd never intended to sit. The pressure built in my chest, heavy with every time they'd overlooked me, every discussion I was excluded from, every moment Haley got a free pass while I was told to rise above. I stood, deliberately, tapping my fingers on the table. The room fell silent. "Here's the thing," I said, letting the quiet linger. "I haven't lived there in weeks." Laughter died on their faces. My aunt's fork slipped, clattering against her plate. My mother blinked. "Wait, what?" I met her gaze, really met it, like a stranger realizing they've stepped into the wrong home. Her brow furrowed. "Where have you been living?" I gave a small smile, just enough to signal I was done playing their game. In that moment, the room, their wine, their giggles, their decisions made without me, faded into a blur. I'd vanished 6 weeks ago, and not one of them had noticed. But now they would. They'd remember this moment forever. Because what followed would shatter everything they thought they knew about me. Everything. 6 weeks earlier, my apartment had been a sanctuary, plain walls, soft lighting, a calm I'd spent years crafting. Then Haley showed up, sobbing at midnight, mascara streaking her face, 3 bags in tow. "Travis betrayed me," she sniffled as if it were a shock. "I just need a few days, Caleb, to catch my breath." I let her in. Of course I did. That's what you do as the older brother, the dependable one, the predictable one. By day 2, she'd claimed my bedroom and turned the living room into her personal therapy hub. Her friends came and went like it was a dorm. Dirty glasses piled on counters. Makeup cluttered the bathroom sink. I started crashing on the couch. By week 1, she was hosting full-on parties. I had a crucial Zoom presentation that Friday, one that could have landed me a lead tech role on a project I'd been eyeing for months. I asked her to keep it quiet. She swore she would. Instead, I joined my meeting to the sound of hip-hop blaring from the kitchen and someone shouting about shots. My camera caught me, head in hands, as the chaos unfolded behind me. I lost the deal. That night, I pulled her aside, trying to stay calm. "Haley, this isn't working. You need to find another place." She barely looked up from her phone. "God, you're so dramatic. I'm going through hell and you're whining about your little tech thing." I stared at her. "You cost me a $20,000 contract." She rolled her eyes. "Maybe they didn't want someone who can't handle his own home." That's when it hit me. Not just who she was, but how she saw me. I called our parents. Dad sighed. "She's struggling, Caleb. Be more understanding." Mom added, "She's your sister." That was it. No support, no checking on me. Just deal with it. That night I packed a single bag, wallet, laptop, charger, and left. No one followed, no one called, no one noticed. And Haley, she settled in like she owned the place. I didn't go far. A friend, Jeremy, had a spare couch and no questions. That's all I needed. But over those 6 weeks, something odd happened. No calls, no texts, not even a "where are you" from my parents, no passive-aggressive emoji from Mom. Not a single missed call on my phone, nothing. And it didn't sting like it should have. It confirmed what I'd always known. Growing up, I was always the afterthought in my family. Haley was the spark, the drama, the center of attention. I was the quiet pause between her scenes, told to be patient, to understand, to stay calm. She got caught stealing in high school, and Dad blamed the store's signage. I got a B+ in math and was told to try harder. By 18, I'd moved out. Paid for community college with 2 jobs, ate ramen until I landed my first coding gig. By 25, I had a modest apartment, a small savings account, and no one at my graduation. They missed that too. I'd built everything with my own hands and silence without their cheers. So when 6 weeks passed and no one noticed I was gone, not Haley, not my parents, it didn't break me. It woke something in me. They were too comfortable with my quietness. They thought it meant I was weak, but quiet can be a weapon. And I'd been honing mine for years. I realized I didn't need to shout to be heard. I just needed to be calculated, intentional. If Haley wanted to act like she owned my life, fine. If my parents wanted to enable her, let them. They thought I was invisible? Perfect. Let them keep laughing. I'd unravel their comfort piece by piece, quietly, precisely. The day after I left, I returned once, just once, not to confront Haley. She wasn't there. Her sneakers sat by the door, her perfume lingering like a lie. I walked through my own apartment like an outsider. Clothes gone. My gaming console missing. My desk shoved into the hall to make room for a ring light and a backdrop labeled Haley's Haven. Before I left, I hid a small motion-activated camera behind the bookshelf, aimed at the living room. It recorded when movement or sound triggered it. Then I walked out for good. Next, I visited my landlord. I handed him a lease termination form. "You're breaking it early?" he asked, puzzled. I nodded. "The unit's been occupied without my permission. I have proof." 3 days later, I reviewed the first batch of footage. It turned my stomach. Haley hosting parties, strangers drinking from my mugs. Someone wearing my jacket like it was theirs. My diploma on the floor, trampled. It got worse. She was selling my belongings. I watched her photograph my guitar, my monitor, my premium headphones, things I'd saved months for, and list them online. A guy paid cash for the monitor. She laughed as she handed it over. Then the worst part, a clip of her forging my signature on an HOA complaint about a neighbor's noise. My name, my handwriting, I compiled it all. Sent it time-stamped to the landlord. A week later, an email confirmed Haley had been ordered to leave immediately. No legal claim, no more Haley's Haven. That night, my phone lit up. Her name, then Mom's, then Dad's. They called repeatedly. I didn't answer. I blocked them all, every number, every account. The only voice they'd hear from me now was the one backed by evidence and silence. "Where have you been staying?" my mother asked again, her voice sharp, sensing trouble. I took my time scanning the table. The chicken was half eaten, the wine half gone. The laughter had dissolved into stares. "I've been staying," I said, slipping my hands into my pockets, "somewhere peaceful. Something I never found here." My father set his fork down. "What's that supposed to mean?" I tilted my head. "Exactly what it sounds like." Mom leaned forward. "You vanished. You didn't tell us where you went. That's not fair to us." "Fair?" I gave a dry laugh. "You decided Haley could live in my apartment while she was already there without asking me, and not one of you noticed I wasn't even living there." My uncle frowned. "Wait, you weren't?" I locked eyes with Haley. Her smile was gone. She knew what was coming. "You moved in, trashed my place, threw parties, sold my stuff. You even forged my signature on a complaint. And none of you noticed I was gone for 6 weeks. My father's face reddened. "You're being absurd." I pulled an envelope from my coat and dropped it on the table. "What's this?" Mom asked. "Videos, photos, signatures, screenshots. All dated, all from the past month. Sent to my landlord. That's why Haley's out." Haley's eyes widened. "You ratted me out." "No," I said, voice steady. "I protected what I built. You treated my life like it was yours to use. Like I was just the guy who paid the rent." They stared, stunned. "I was gone," I said, slower now, "and none of you noticed." My mother tried again. "We didn't know." "That's the point," I cut in. "You never bothered to." I turned toward the door. The silence behind me was thick, like ash after a fire. I paused at the doorway. "This family only reaches out when they need something. This dinner. It was never about me. It was about fixing Haley's chaos." I opened the door and left them in a silence they couldn't escape. Haley was evicted 2 days later. The landlord didn't care about her tears or her excuses. The evidence, footage, forged documents, unauthorized occupancy was airtight. She was out by the weekend. She didn't go quietly. First came texts, furious, all-caps rants accusing me of ruining her life. I ignored them. Then voicemails, half sobbing, half yelling, threatening to tell the family everything about me. Whatever that meant. I didn't waver. I filed a police report for the stolen items, monitor, guitar, my grandmother's watch, all backed by footage. I sent it to my renter's insurance. They opened a claim within 2 days. Haley's name was now tied to an investigation. I didn't do it to ruin her. I did it to set a boundary, one she'd crossed too often. The fallout was quick. She'd recently started a part-time job at a boutique. Word of the incident spread, likely from the landlord's office. 2 days later, she was fired. Her polished Instagram, once full of selfies and motivational quotes, went silent. Comments disappeared, followers dwindled. Her online image crumbled under the weight of her actions. Mom left a voicemail one night, her voice heavy with disappointment. "She's your sister, Caleb. You've always been the responsible one. Can't you just handle this quietly?" I didn't call back. Instead, I sent her a screenshot from Haley's group chat, sent the week she moved in. "Elmau, he's such a nobody, doesn't even realize I basically run his place now. He'll probably thank me for making it fun." I added one line, "This is who you defended." Mom didn't respond. For the first time, my silence wasn't weakness, it was power. Seattle was calm in a way that didn't ache. The rain fell gently, softening the city's edges. I loved it here. I was working at an AI startup, putting in long hours that felt meaningful. $140,000 a year, a top-floor apartment with big windows, and a fridge I actually kept stocked. My life finally felt like mine. No one knew me as Haley's brother or the quiet one. Here I was just Caleb Monroe, the guy who built things and kept his word. I had a crew now, friends who showed up for birthdays, game nights, or just because. Peace wasn't just a place. It was this version of me, the one they'd never seen. Then the call came. It was Dad. His voice broke slightly. "Your mother's not well, you should come home." I didn't ask for details. I booked a flight. Not because I missed them, but because I needed to see her one last time before I closed that door forever. When I walked into the house, it was like time had frozen. Same photos on the walls, same worn paint in the hall. And Haley was there, sprawled on the couch, munching chips, watching reality TV like she hadn't upended my life. She looked up, flashing that fake sweet smile. "Hey, stranger," she said as if we were buddies. I looked past her to the hallway where Mom was resting. She was frail, pale. I stood there, hands in my pockets. Haley gave a nervous laugh. "You gonna come say hi?" I stepped back. "No," I said softly. "I've said all I needed to." Her face hardened. "You're still mad. Get over it, Caleb." I turned to my father, who hadn't spoken since I arrived. "Tell her I said goodbye," I said, then paused. "For good this time." And I walked out, because closure isn't always a conversation. Sometimes it's a door you lock behind you. The letter wasn't harsh, it wasn't cutting, it was steady. Deliberate, folded with the same hands that once reached for their approval and found nothing. I mailed it without a return address. It began plainly. "Dear Mom and Dad," for years I pleaded for respect. Silently, patiently. I let Haley's chaos and your excuses drown my voice. You told me to be the bigger person so often I thought being small was my role. You chose drama over calm, flair over focus. Cheers for the storm while ignoring the steady anchor. When Haley lied, you stood by her. When I broke, you told me to hold it together. I was never your priority, just your safety net. Now I choose myself. I paused, letting the pen rest. Then continued, "I'm not angry, I'm finished. This isn't revenge, it's self-preservation. I'm building a life where I'm not an afterthought. Where my worth doesn't need to shout to be seen. You may never get it. That's fine. Your understanding isn't necessary for my freedom. I wish you peace. But I won't be part of the chaos anymore. Don't expect me at the next gathering. My seat at the table is mine now, and it's taken. Caleb, no fancy signature, just truth." That evening, I sat by the tall windows of my Seattle apartment, the kind that let in quiet without loneliness. Outside, light snow fell, dusting the streetlights, softening the city's edges. I sipped tea. Finished a book I'd left unread for months. No phone buzzing, no guilt gnawing at me, just warmth, calm, peace. In the window's reflection, I saw myself. Not the invisible sun, not the fallback.